just watched the other night, last night. I watched my favorite boxing movie was on Turner Classic Movies, Requiem of a Heavyweight. If you've never seen that movie, it's not a somebody up there loves me kind of movie where it's great boxing scenes and all this. It's more of a truth, and they show you basically what they used to call during that era being punch drunk, which today we know it more serious CTE issues, but the truth of the matter is that if you've never seen it, it's a story of a fighter who is done. He's had his best days behind him, and his manager, who's played by Jackie Gleason, and his trainer, who's played by Mickey Rooney. It's great, and the fighter is Anthony Quinn, and he's in his last legs. He's in the fight opens up. He gets knocked out by who? Who? That's right, Muhammad Ali, who was Cassius Clay at that time, and it was him in the ring. You see his face, gets knocked out. He's never really the same, and Jackie Gleason sells him out to a wrestling, right? And they make him put on like an Indian, and he goes around, and it was terrible for him because it was humiliation, and you see the whole story of the movie is what happens to these guys that give their all to the sport, physically, mentally, their life they give to the sport, to the people around them. And then those people that they trusted, that they put it all in their hands, turn around and give them the old kazoo, like Jackie Gleason did to him. It's similar to what's the other one with Humphrey Bogart? That's my other favorite. With the it's supposed to be the Primo Carnera story, but those movies. Harder They Fall. This my man coach is saying that the he thinks the Harder They Fall was real insight. I listen, that was insight. Look, they look at two different things, coach. The truth of the matter is the Harder They Fall shows the business side and how they make it, and that happens today. If you've never watched The Harder They Fall, that's what they do. That's Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is that guy that they built up, and he believes in his own mind that he's that good, even though they were giving him setup fights, fixed fights, all these things. And then when he finally gets into a real fight, he gets clobbered. And that's the story of Harder They Fall. But the Requiem of a Heavyweight, that story is about the fighter who leaves it all in the ring and can't function normally. Now, my man James is saying $1 Million Baby. All right, let me tell you a story about that movie. Okay, I went to see that movie, and I was expecting, and I went there, and I'm thinking, okay, I walked out of that movie crying. I for some reason I thought that she was going to come back, and it was going to be like a feel good story. It wasn't. It was a misery. It was like everything you could hope that doesn't happen. It all happened. It was terrible. I thought. I mean, the movie was good, but the whole story. But there's so many good fight movies out there that you probably never heard of. There was one called The Ring. There's a classic with I don't know how we got started talking about movies, but it's called The Setup. And that movie, it's an old movie. The Setup was my man Jeff is saying, I agree, it was beyond sad. I know. I don't think I've seen the only movie I went to see after that. I went to the movies to see what did I see? I saw Sin City and then Sin City too. Other than that, I stopped. I just watch old movies. But the setup with what was it? Robert Ryan was the star. That is a really good movie, and that's also along the lines of these guys that are working against each other. In this case, his manager sets it up, and he's betting against his own fighter. You know, Robert Ryan, who was an aging fighter and gets involved with a fix that he didn't know about, and he ends up beating this kid up. And then the mob is there, and they break his hand. Which it's at the end, it's kind of a feel good, because on one hand, this guy's career is finally over. They break his hand and he can never fight again. But on the other hand, his wife is happy because she wanted him to quit the game. But that's a real good one. And The Ring, that's another good movie about a Mexican fighter, young fighter who fights to support his family. That was a good one. But yeah, there was a lot of good boxing movies, but the ones that everybody expects you to love, like I'm not a big, the Jake LaMotta Raging Bull. I mean, that was a good cinematic movie, and I love Jake LaMotta. But it was a good movie, but it wasn't my favorite. Like I like the stories a little better. And the Graziano one with somebody up there like loves me. Paul Newman was in that. I mean, that was good. But some of the other ones that we're talking about, was better in my opinion. But we'll have to evaluate that with boxing movies. And of course, Rocky, when Rocky came out. I mean, how many people out there drank down some raw eggs, huh? How many? I know I did. I liked the Rocky movie. I didn't like the whole franchise. It dragged on way too long, way too long. So I was uptight about that. But the original Rocky was good. The fact that he didn't even win, which was the best part. But raw eggs. Everybody was eating raw eggs, right? And Jeff saying, and one arm push ups. Yeah, I mean, listen, it gave boxing a shot in the arm. And the late, great Sal Rocky Senecola, who used to be my co host, hopefully he's looking down on us now. He used to quote that movie like it was a real fight. I used to have to tell him all the time. I'm like, Sal, it was a movie. He's like, oh, you remember when Rocky did this and Rocky did that? And I'm like, Sal, it was a movie, man. But yeah,